Hey everybody, look, we're on video. Well, that's because we have a very different episode of the show for you today. We're trying to showcase what we can do on YouTube and not just on the audio side. So this is just like a little treat of what our YouTube channel is going to look like when it launches in September. So back on August 6th, Liz and I did a cast and crew Q&A for the new film What We Found, written and directed by Ben Hickernell. The majority of the cast of the film joined us for the conversation, including Jordan Hall, Julian Shatkin, Yetide Badaki, Una Lawrence, and Brandon Luerquente. So here's an edited version of the Q&A, and if you're just listening, that's cool too. Hope you guys enjoy this very different episode of MMIH, and make sure to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Enjoy.
Okay, here we go. Nice and quiet.
Sound speeds, camera rolling.
Holding for sound.
Last looks. Calling for last looks.
And set, and action.
I need to swap batteries.
You know, making movies is hard.
Making movies is hard.
We're going to just talk about everything and everything about this movie. We're going to spoil things. We're going to talk about big plot points. So if you haven't seen the film yet, you should go ahead and rent that movie right now or buy it and then come back to this.
And just regret it.
Listen and regret it. Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah. Absolutely. So without any more blither blather, let's go and talk to Ben about what we found. So Ben, tell us, like, where did this movie come from? Where did the idea and the kernel for this film, sprout from?
Making indie films is hard, as this is why your podcast is named that. So I'm going to take like a 4-year journey and try to boil it down into a minute. But basically, I've done some other projects, but I, as a writer-director, done 2 kind of indie character dramas. One played at South by Southwest, one played at Seattle, but they were in like a certain little world. And I wanted to do something with a little more genre in it. I wanted to do, for lack of a better term, a more commercial movie. I grew up in Baltimore, and back in 2015, when I started this kind of journey, the podcast Serial came out. And this isn't based on Serial. It's not, it's not a direct port or retelling of that real life story, but Serial happened at Woodlawn High School. I went to Catonsville High School, and they're about on Google Maps, 3.5 miles apart. So I was I got very much wrapped up in that story. And I really thought, it could be a really interesting thing to kind of combine my experience of growing up in that same area with a murder mystery that was a similar type of story. Because in that real life case, a girl, Heyman Lee, went missing and they suspected her boyfriend did it. And the podcast is really about whether her boyfriend did it or not. But anyways, that was part of the genesis, was just I got wrapped up in that world and I started kind of picturing this story. And the story, I think, is kind of a combination of my own kind of growing up and coming of age experiences. I definitely got bullied in middle school and stuff. I definitely went to the woods with friends to run away from our parents. I definitely smoked weed. That's out in the record now, I guess. I can't, I'm president, maybe I can. But yeah, and then mixing that into this more genre-based story that was, reminiscent of things like Stand By Me, but hopefully we're bringing something new and contemporary to it. And so that was kind of the genesis. That was kind of the raison d'etre of what it was going to be and why it was going to be. And then obviously there's some thematics that I really care about in this movie. And I think as I wrote the story, besides kind of hitting those genre beats of trying to make it really fun and accessible and, and moving, I also wanted to thematically get into a few, kind of issues, which I think hopefully we get into a bit in the movie too. So that was the idea of where it started. And then began a long road of, the whole of fundraising and putting it together and casting, and until now it's out, which is, beautiful.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about the casting, and then any of our actors, if they remember things differently, like starkly differently, can they just jump in and correct Ben?
Cast in this movie was, one thing I have to give huge props to Barbara McCarthy and Alice Merlin, the casting directors. They, every time, as all these fine people can attest, anytime you make an indie film, there's never enough time and money, so it always comes down to putting in that extra amount of work, and they really did. Some people were very easy to cast. Brandon was the first audition we had for Clay. I'm not kidding. So, we had 2,000 auditions or whatever. He was number one, the first video I saw. And literally Barbara told me, because I sent an email do we need to keep going? And she was that was the same thing we said when we saw him audition. He was literally the first one. So that was really
It's so funny. You never want to be the first one. That's what you're told at every casting workshop you take. Don't be the first one. Wow.
But in this case, it worked out. We watched
in the one case.
We watched other auditions, but yeah, Brandon was perfect. Una was. We had 6,000 submissions for Holly, and Una was right at the
Wow.
top of the, because there was just, I guess there are a lot of, people in that.
You never told me that. That's crazy. Oh my gosh.
We had some more submissions for Holly than any other part. We had thousands. I don't know how Barbara and Alice even, and they probably didn't watch all of them, sadly. I will say the one thing I wanted to comment on was, Jordan. This is Jordan's first film. And so, we really went out and searched for Marcus. I think just because of, some of the social issues in this country, there were many fewer submissions for Marcus than there were for Holly, because I think, it's just there are fewer families that can afford to have a 14-year-old kid who's like a full-time actor in that part of the population. So I kept pushing them to keep looking. And basically we looked at a few people who had done TV and done this and that. And, Jordan was a Broadway actor. So basically Jordan was not like the first person we saw. We kept peeling the layers of the onion. And then basically, we found this video of Jordan's first audition, and it was great. And he, I think in some ways kind of was like Marcus, but obviously in some ways wasn't, but he had that same kind of intellectual curiosity kind of part of him. And basically, I mean, Jordan, we did a few rounds of auditions, right? Because I definitely kept asking you to try things because you had great stuff, but you also weren't that experienced. So we did a few layers of auditions until Jordan won the role.
Yeah, we had a few meetings, and I remember you telling me, you were like, yeah, it's between you and a couple other guys. And I was always like, oh my God, I'm freaking out. And then I think there was we had a Skype call the day before I got the call that I got Marcus. And you were basically like, yeah, it's between you and one other person. And I was like, oh my God. And then the next day I got the call and I was like, yay.
I'm sorry I was mean. I was probably putting a little pressure on you too to kind of see how you'd handle it, to be like, look, it's down to you and somebody else, we're going to do a scene again.
We actually have a question from the YouTube page that's about Una. A lot of people are asking about Una, Julian, and Jordan, and their chemistry, and if you guys are still friends, and what your first impression of was each other. If you're willing to kind of weigh in, it'd be great to hear that.
Yeah, no, totally. We all are still connected. We all still check in on each other, but Una and I have become the bestest of friends, and we totally hang out with each other all the time. We were literally with each other 2 nights ago, and whenever we have I don't know, we are always together for the last couple of years, and actually it started with this movie, and we kind of just stayed connected. But Julian, we also check in on him, and we also make sure he's good, and we also send him photos when we're together. We check in, so we're all totally still connected, and we have fun.
Yeah, we had so much fun on set. Specifically, we would always play Nerf Wars in the hotel because the hotel was shaped so it was shaped like a square, but right in the middle was a lawn and a pool. So we would circle around the hotel and play Nerf Wars. It was intense, but yeah.
That was pretty fun.
Did you do any chemistry casting with the three of them together to make sure that they were going to work as really close friends, or did you just kind of, you knew they were all good on their own, and you're they're going to work together, no problem?
Did we ever have you guys cross read with each other? We did rehearsal, which was great, but before that, I don't think we did, right? Am I remembering that?
No, we didn't. We kind of met each other and we Instagram DM'd each other and was like, hey, I heard you got this. Hey, I heard you got this. And when we showed up, we kind of just hung out.
That's one of the sad things about indie film is you just don't have, I remember actually with Una too, Una has these big agents, and we had put in the contract, whatever it was, 2 days of rehearsal. And I would have loved to have more, but I was so scared of her agents. I was not going to be let's meet another, So anyway, so yeah, that's one thing indie film is I would have loved to have more of a chemistry read or have more, more time to, but you don't have the money and the budget. And I remember Yetide flew in the night before you started shooting, right? You only have so much time. So time's one of the things.
I think it was pretty much the day of, wasn't it?
Maybe. Did you do a night flight and
the hospital scene happened then? I remember just being okay, we're going for this. We're doing this now, eh?
Did you arrive that morning?
I'm pretty sure I arrived that day because I remember my head was still. I'm pretty sure I was still jet lagged. I think I came from Toronto.